Packed airports, flight delays, staffing shortages, traveling this summer is not easy. We found out firsthand on a recent flight from Newark to Norway.
Hello, jet setters. I'm Jeb Brooks from greenergrass.com. Right now we're in Newark. We're on our way to Bergen, Norway. Join us.
Our trip was scheduled to take about 6.5 hours to cover a distance of 3,500 miles. We'd flown in from our home airport in Greensboro, North Carolina, and planned a long layover to take full advantage of everything this lounge provides. It turned into a longer layover than we'd planned. Anyway, the super exclusive Polaris Lounge is only available to international business class passengers on United or Star Alliance carriers to certain destinations. It's ordinarily a refuge from the hustle and bustle of the airport, but today, well, it was also packed. We made our way through and eventually discovered these two seats.
This place is chock-a-block full.
All the food and drinks here are included in the price of your ticket, and ordinarily, we'd head straight to the dining room for lunch.
This is a first. There's a 15 or 20 minute wait for the restaurant, so we'll just hang up at this table and head over there as soon as there's availability.
It was nearly 3 o'clock, and we hadn't eaten since breakfast, so before we went to lunch, we decided to hit up the buffet for an appetizer.
We're gonna have a little snack before we go for the restaurant meal.
And about 20 minutes later, we checked back into the restaurant and were immediately shown to a table.
Great international trip tradition.
Cheers!
Cheers.
We started with the tandoori spiced cauliflower.
I'm pretty sure this is going to be too spicy for Jeb.
I feel a little like that was an evil cackle, but she does know me. I don't like spicy food. That was a little much. I should have cut it.
It took me a few minutes, but my mouth finally cooled down. And it was about then that Suzanne received her lamb kofta. And then I savored my Polaris burger. We decided to wrap things up with the pear cobbler. Be sure to consider your layover before sitting down. It took us about an hour to eat our 3 courses. Also, although it's not publicized, please remember the waitstaff here appreciates tips. We passed the next few hours watching the action on the ramp and enjoying the bar. As I've mentioned before, United's Polaris lounges are some of the best in the United States.
There are not many lounges in the United States where you can order a gin martini and get it in a glass like this. There's nothing like Polaris. There's just nothing like Polaris.
Our flight to Bergen was booked onto one of the most capable airplanes ever made by Boeing, the 757.
So taking a look at all those wide bodies out there, do you kind of wish we were flying a wide body tonight? Do you feel like a narrow body is less special?
It's a 757. I mean, there's nothing better than a 757.
It's a cool airplane.
Especially transatlantic.
United's comprehensive fleet, including the 757, has allowed them to offer flights to smaller cities like Bergen and capitalize on today's strong leisure market. In fact, tonight's flight made it possible for us to plan what we freely admit was a completely crazy trip through Norway, maybe one of our strangest yet. In fact, if you haven't already, please consider clicking the subscribe button because if you like transportation, our video highlighting that crazy Norwegian transportation adventure, well, it's one you don't want to miss. Our boarding time was approaching, so we changed into pajamas. As a devoted United fan, Suzanne selected a shirt that celebrated this special flight.
Finally, we're flying United. With Jeb, it's always Delta, Delta, Delta.
And she's right. We have been flying Delta a lot recently, but we were both so excited about this transatlantic adventure that we left the lounge at 7:30, about an hour before our 8:40 departure time, or so we thought. When we checked the board, something seemed off.
The flight before ours at our gate is Austin, Texas, and it says it's still boarding. Huh. So I'm guessing our plane's not at the gate yet.
With that knowledge, we headed down to the gate anyway, just to see what was going on.
I love the United Airlines app. There's so much information on it. For example, I just found out that the plane that was occupying our gate has departed, it's pushing, and our plane has not yet arrived at the gate.
Despite not having a plane at our gate less than an hour before departure, the flight still looked to be on time, but it wasn't like the plane was somewhere else. It was just simply across the airfield. Thanks again to the United app, we knew it had landed from Tenerife about 2:30 earlier in the afternoon.
I think that's an airplane. Kidding. Made you look.
She got me there. We wandered around the airport for a while before noticing the departure board showed a 9:15 departure time. Now, that's a 35-minute delay to tow the airplane to our gate.
Somewhere amongst this airport is our airplane. It's been here for 6 hours now, but it's not at our gate.
Again, our aircraft had come in hours earlier. Once the passengers from that flight had deboarded, it was towed away to make room for another. You see, gate space is at a premium here at Newark, so between flights, some airplanes, like ours, are parked elsewhere. A move team tows them around the airfield. Unfortunately, for some reason, maybe staffing, that's just a guess, the move team couldn't get our airplane back to our gate in time for our scheduled departure. Thankfully, our gate agent kept us in the loop as much as possible. But because of the complexities of Newark, there was no clear answer about when we'd depart. Eventually, the sun set, and somebody somewhere was celebrating, but it was not us. Have you experienced any delays this summer? It seems like they've been all over the news. This is the first one we've dealt with. Let us know your experience in the comments below.
There's still no sign of our plane. It's gonna
Got a rolling delay kind of situation now. Keeps kind of going every 10-20 minutes. Now it's 10:20 p.m. Is the new departure. Hopefully that holds. The problem seems to be getting the airplane over here to the gate.
After multiple laps around Newark, we finally got some great news.
Our plane has arrived.
We've come here for a snack because I was hangry.
No, you weren't, darling.
I hope you'll do better than I did at avoiding hanger, that unfortunate combination of hunger-driven anger. But we finally boarded 2.5 hours after we were supposed to. But regardless of all that, we were excited about this trip, and we're ready to get on this 27-year-old 757. United's older business class cabin on 757s like this one is certainly showing its age. With two configured seats, this is a business class cabin for couples, especially if one partner has a strong bladder. On the seats, we found United's newest amenity kit, 2 pillows and a blanket. There's storage and plugs located behind your shoulder, and in front, there's a fairly large screen, storage, and in these bulkhead seats, we were in row 1, a very large footrest. This makes these seats some of the best in the bunch. The seats can be adjusted here, and there's a remote control down here as well.
It took a long time to bring the aircraft over to the gate. We're here, we're ready to go. And as soon as we close the door, taxi out to the runway to provide oxygen. After take a look at 6 hours and 42 minutes en route.
We faced another delay because the airplane needed to take on more water. We finally pushed back about 2.5 hours late. Thanks to the United app, we learned we'd arrive only 2 hours and 12 minutes late. Despite our delay, we were grateful to be on our way. Now, it's important to remember that everyone, from the folks at United to the people at Newark Airport, even the FAA, everybody was working hard. They were working as hard as they could to get us out on time, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. If there's anything I've learned from our Airports Revealed series, it's that there's just so much complexity involved in making commercial aviation work. And so, despite this delay, I'd like to say thanks to everyone who worked so hard on a holiday weekend. This trip was over July 4th, to get us on our way. And I'd encourage you to be patient when you're traveling this summer too. Things are slowly getting back to normal. But as for this flight, it was time to settle in and enjoy the friendly skies. United Airlines recently partnered with the luggage company Away to create these new amenity kits. They're filled with essentials, but sadly, I left mine behind because it was just too bulky to take with me for our onward journey. The in-flight entertainment was sufficient for the trip. The moving map was best, and that said, the screen wasn't very bright or crisp. Like much of the cabin, it's just showing its age. That said, there were plenty of choices, so you won't be bored on board. I chose to watch that great Christmas classic, Die Hard. Service began with nuts and a side of turbulence. I settled in, and the extra space in the bulkhead seats is fantastic. Dinner soon arrived. The salad with salmon was nice, and the tenderloin was flavorful too. United's 757s offer Economy and Economy Plus cabins, both arranged in a 3-3 configuration. You'll get more room in Economy Plus. Polaris is a 2-2 configured cabin, And all that being said, it was time for us both to take advantage of the lie-flat seats. Suzanne was grateful for her eye mask, but didn't realize it had a message before she put it on.
What's it say?
If you choose to sleep on your back, the seat is a little tight. Thankfully, I'm a side sleeper, so it worked out pretty well for me. About 4.5 hours later, after some pretty good sleep, we woke up to the sound of breakfast being prepared. We were right over the Faroe Islands, which we'd visit just in a week or so on this trip. Suzanne had the crepes, which she said were light and rich. I chose the poached egg with hollandaise sauce, which was really good, but definitely not poached. Probably a good thing. Before long, we began our approach, which means it's time for the unscientific rating system some have been known to call the Jebscore. We'll look at the lounge, the seat, the food, the in-flight entertainment, and the service. First, the lounge. Polaris lounges are simply the best in the USA, and despite the crowds, it still maintains its 5-star rating. And anytime you're in a lie-flat seat, it's an incredibly special experience. I mean, a bed in the sky? Come on. That said, competing products, including United's new Polaris seats on their other aircraft, offer direct aisle access for everyone. This is a laggard, which means it earns 2 stars. The food was fine. It was filling and flavorful. The food earns 4 stars. The IFE is anything but industry-leading. While I enjoyed celebrating Christmas in July with Die Hard, the screen doesn't offer an experience consistent with today's expectations. 2 stars here. The service was exactly to standard, despite our delay. And delays may be harder on crew than passengers, to be honest. Well, despite the delay, our flight attendants offered a solid service. That's 5 stars there. Now, you may think there should be some kind of a penalty for the delay, but I don't think that's fair. Delays are unpredictable and can impact any flight at any time, so it's not a consideration in the Jebscore. So that leaves United's 757 service from Newark to Bergen with 18 out of a possible 25 stars. And to see how it stacks up against other flights, head over to greenergrass.com/Jebscore. Between now and the next time, see you in the sky.
Right now, we're in Newark. We're on our way to Bergen. Very classy.
Wait, where's your blue shirt?
It's always blue. The trip for these short transit... What? I'm going to start over. The trip for these short... A tip for these short...
There, blending in with her camouflage, is a rare Suzanne. Her Evo blue blending in perfectly with the United logo.
You're supposed to say something? I have to say, this is...
No.
Oh, where has our aeroplane gone?
I just said the most brilliant thing ever stated on YouTube, like in the history of YouTube. But my wife, who I love dearly, forgot to press record, and you didn't get to hear it.